Do they know I'm black?
Should they?
You might wanna,
Mom and Dad, my black boyfriend will be coming up this weekend. I just don't want you to be shocked that he's a black man.
Do you smoke in front of my daughter?
I'm gonna quit.
She'd take care of that for you.
How?
Hypnosis.
I'm good, actually.
Sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
Mine is a terrible thing to waste. Terrible thing to waste.
If there's too many white people, I get nervous.
Hello and welcome to episode 86 of the How to Survive podcast. Get out! No, I'm not talking to you. That's the name of the film we're covering this week. And joining me as ever is Joe.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, yeah. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
Good.
Having finally seen a good movie.
Yes, it's been a while. Yeah.
I watched, I think before this, my favourite movie of the year has been Manchester by the Sea.
Okay.
Despite its backstage politics.
Mm-hmm.
And this has superseded it. I enjoyed it immensely.
Oh, good. Well, that's good to see. And I enjoyed it very much as well. I don't think we're jumping the gun in saying that. So if you haven't seen Get Out, then now is your chance to duck out of the podcast, go down to your local cinema where it will surely still be showing, and watch it, and then meet us back here for some insightful debate on one of the year's most interesting films.
Yeah.
And so the film is Get Out, directed by Jordan Peele. And from this point onwards, there will be spoilers. So this is your final warning. And let's commence the plot recap before we go on to How to Survive. Chris, an African-American photographer, heads to his white girlfriend Rose's family home to meet her parents for the first time. Rose hasn't told them that Chris is black, but Rose assures him that everything will be fine. Dean, Rose's father, gives Chris a tour of the Armitage home, admitting it looks bad that they have black servants, who are called Walter and Georgina, but tries to reassure Chris, saying Obama, the greatest president of my lifetime, should have served a third term. How could this guy be anything other than,
Top drawer liberal.
Yeah. Missy, Rose's mother, is a psychiatrist and she offers hypnosis to help Chris quit smoking. Chris declines. Rose's brother Jeremy insists on talking about Chris's superior genetic makeup in relation to MMA fighting and attempts to headlock Chris. That night, Chris finds Missy awake. Stirring a cup of tea, she hypnotizes Chris. Unable to move, Chris's consciousness enters what Missy calls the sunken place. When Chris wakes, he finds thoughts of smoking disgusting and realizes he was hypnotized. The family have one of their annual get-togethers, and various whites take an unusual interest in Chris and his physical capabilities. Chris meets black guest Logan King, whose bizarre demeanour and familiarity unsettles him, and blind art dealer and failed photographer Jim Hudson, who compliments Chris's photography. Chris calls his friend Rod Williams, whom he tells about his hypnosis and the unusual behaviour of local blacks. Rod suggests the blacks were hypnotised as sex slaves. Chris tries to stealthily photograph Logan. The flash causes Logan to freeze, suffer a nosebleed, and hysterically yell at Chris, "Get out!" Dean claims Logan had an epileptic seizure. Chris and Rose go walking where he discloses his discomfort and they agree to leave. Meanwhile, Dean holds an auction for Chris. Hudson wins.
Is that what that was?
Yes. Yes, it was.
I am thick.
Packing, Chris finds a set of photographs showing Rose with various black people, including Walter and Georgina, with Rose having previously said that Chris was her first black boyfriend, which is why it's suspicious. He tries to leave, but the family stops him. Rose admits her role in the deception, and Missy hypnotizes Chris, preventing his escape. Rod grows concerned when Chris does not return or answer his calls and discovers Logan is actually Andre, an acquaintance who went missing months earlier. He tries to get help from police, but is not taken seriously. Chris, meanwhile, wakes up strapped down and learns the family has perfected a method of pseudo-immortality. Dean, a neurosurgeon, performed brain surgery, transplanting consciousnesses of whites into bodies of younger blacks, hypnotised by Missy. Hudson wants Chris's body to regain sight, with Chris doomed to exist in the sunken place as Hudson controls his body. And they do this by literally cutting out almost all of the black person's brain, replacing it with the white person's brain. Pretty grim. Chris escapes, killing Dean, Missy, and Jeremy along the way. Driving away, he hits Georgina, who's the female house servant, but is unable to leave her as it reminds him of how his mother died, which was in a hit and run. He drags Georgina, whose body is revealed to actually hold Rose's grandmother, into the car, and she revives and causes a crash, which ends up killing herself. Rose, who now is armed with a rifle, and Walter, who is the groundskeeper, who is actually Rose's grandfather, catch up to Chris. Walter tackles Chris, who uses his phone to flash him, freeing Walter from hypnosis. Walter tricks Rose into giving him the rifle, shooting her in the abdomen before shooting himself in the head. Chris begins to strangle Rose but cannot go through with it. A police car approaches, but the driver is Rod, who works for the TSA, which is the transport security travel, whatever it is.
Yeah, the airport security people.
Airport security, yeah. So a police car pulls up, and then the door opens to reveal the word airport, and he and Chris drive away, and Rose dies in the street, and that's how Get Out ends.
Happy ending.
You say that, but the film got as good a response from the audience as I can remember. Like probably since like Star Wars or something, which for like a non-franchise film is absolutely fantastic. And I think the pinnacle of that audience reaction was at the end when Rod arrives. But you think obviously, I think everyone watching the film assumes what's going to happen is that the racist cop who appears briefly at the start of the film is going to turn up. Yeah. And shoot Chris because he's black,
exactly.
And he's attacking a white family. So you're the blue and red lights appear, and you're like, oh, like everyone in the audience is like, oh, and then the door opens and it says airport, and it's I think a combination of the fact that the audience love Rod,
he's a great character,
because he's an excellent character, and like the palpable relief that everyone feels at the fact that Chris is going to be all right. Like there was an actual like round of applause and cheers in the cinema when I was watching it. It was fantastic. And normally I don't really like that sort of thing in the middle of films, but it felt earned.
Yeah, I think for the whole movie from start to finish, everyone in my screening as well was completely with the film. Like there's times that it wants you to be scared, there's times that it wants you to laugh. Yeah. And it hits all of those notes pretty perfectly. Yeah, I think it's one of the best horror comedies I've ever seen. Maybe the only really good one. Yeah, I think I think any that makes like toe that line as perfectly. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff like Shaun of the Dead, but then that only exists as a sort of pastiche of tropes that exist already. And there's no real horror in Shaun of the Dead. Well, I mean, there is some there are elements of Shaun of the Dead which are quite nasty, like his mother dying and him having to shoot her. And when David gets pulled through the window and like gutted, like even though it's like very over the top, but then this film is very over the top as well. But I think that this is like one of my favourite films that we've covered. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Although I was thinking this time last year, I think around this time, we did The Witch. Yes, and that was probably the best movie of 2016. Yeah, probably. Yeah, and I worry that we've got to March of 2017 and we've peaked already. It's very possible, yeah. I mean, it will take some doing. It's certainly within the realms of films that we watch for the podcast. Yeah. I think it would take some doing to beat this as my favourite film of the year. Yeah, I think so. And the thing is, the jokes weren't clever. Like they were good. They weren't like especially like the best jokes I've ever seen. Yeah, but they worked perfectly with the movie. Yeah, and I think they're jokes that are based on sort of your relationship with the characters almost. Like, it's all really well established, and you have, even the scenes at the start when you think that Rose is on side.
like Chris and Rose and Rod have that sort of 3-way phone call, and they're sort of bantering back and forth, and Rose is saying, "Oh yeah, I'm just like seeing Chris as a way to get to you," and all that sort of thing. Which then there's a payoff later on with the creepy phone call where she says, "You're only phoning me because you want to fuck me," like to freak him out.
He's recording,
But yeah, like all of those things really quickly and really effectively establish these quite nicely drawn out characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why the humour works so well. And also, I mean, like you have a long-standing theory about the relationship between horror and comedy.
Yeah, and maybe one day I'll make some sort of YouTube video which spells it out. But essentially, horror, as we know, is hard to do well. It's hard to scare people.
Yeah.
But lazy filmmakers, such as Adam Wingard, who made Blair Witch last year, they rely on jump scares. And that means you get a movie where every 30 seconds, or it seemed like that in Blair Witch anyway, every few minutes, every scene, there'll be a quiet part, which goes really quiet, really quiet, and then it goes close up, and everything goes very still.
And then bang.
Yeah, and it's bang in their ear, and you go, "Oh, that made me jump." And the first time you go, "Oh, that's really unsettled me." The second time you go, "Okay, that's annoying." By the 6th or 7th time, you're like, just stop it.
Yeah. Because the punchline is the same.
Yeah, it doesn't take me. It takes me out of the film now because I can see what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
The same goes for comedy, I think. If you take something where it's lazily written, like The Nutty Professor, that relies on fart jokes,
right,
which are funny. So in a movie, a Coen Brothers movie, if a character did a fart at an inopportune time, it might be funny. It might be like, "Oh, that's a bit offbeat." But if every scene involved someone farting as the punchline, you would say this is lazy writing and boring, and you wouldn't laugh as much.
No. I think as well that you've said in the past that it's like both laughing and being scared are sort of ways of films releasing tension.
Yeah.
And that does this all the way through, is that every scene sort of has this natural build up into either a laugh or a frightening bit or like a creepy bit. And, you know, the whole of the first 2/3 of the film is like this steadily more unsettling sort of fish out of water thing. But like each individual scene has that pattern of, you know, a build up and then a release and a build up and a release.
Exactly. It's almost like he can be in a room with these white people and they were saying something weird. And then the last line could be something like, you know, "Well, actually, I know Tiger Woods." Yeah. And you go, "Okay, that's pretty funny." Or it could be like, "Oh, I want to replace your brain with my brain." And you go, "Right, that's weird."
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there's obvious parallels, I think, with a few films, some of which we've covered.
Can I tell you one that I thought of almost as soon as because I think that the twist of the movie kind of ended for me, other than the airport reveal at the end.
Yeah.
Right. I knew what was going to happen from when the white people arrived for the party.
Apart from the fact that you just didn't get the auction bit.
Yeah, but I mean, I understood why they were there.
Right.
And I thought it was like a John Malkovich kind of thing.
Okay.
Being John Malkovich, not the actor John Malkovich.
Yeah.
In being John Malkovich, spoilers. Can I spoiler it?
I mean, it's the conceit of the film as opposed to like a specific spoiler.
Yeah. It's that you can travel through a portal and become John Malkovich.
Yeah. So like 7 minutes, whatever it is. Yeah.
So I assumed it was going to be a similar thing.
Yeah, and it sort of is. I mean, it's Stepford wise, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like people replacing like a subset of people who, you know, they perhaps don't like internally or like, you know, consciously they don't necessarily hate them or anything, but it's just like replacing them with a more palatable version to them, isn't it? Because it's basically playing up to the sort of racist idea that I would imagine many people who don't consider themselves racist have, which is that black people have more physical aptitude, but white people are smarter. And like it takes this like this notion and twists it into this horrible like Mengele like logical conclusion. And I think the only reason it works so well is because that all the scenes of the white people talking with Chris at the start, the racism is subtle, in the sense,
it's more institutional racism.
yeah,
right?
it's like that undercurrent of racism as opposed to like it wouldn't work if it was like hick people just being openly racist as we see in lots of films.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't work. It's all these people who think that because Obama was voted in, like racism is gone now.
Yeah, exactly,
like it's impossible to be racist anymore. Or like, you know, I have black friends, so how could I possibly be racist?
Exactly right, yeah.
But like just, yeah, I think it's got that Stepford Wives thing. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, obviously. Rosemary's Baby, like that sort of sense of like a horrible, you know, thing, wider thing going on. Same with Kill List as well.
Yeah.
And of course, Night of the Living Dead.
Yep.
The ending of that is basically what I thought the ending of this was going to be.
Yeah, and that's obviously deliberate.
Yeah.
As soon as you see, like, it's a symptom of 2017.
Yeah.
That when we see a black person and police car, you assume the worst.
Yes, exactly. And I think that
the worst being that the police are going to shoot an innocent person.
Yes. I think that Jordan Peele himself has actually said that that was the original ending and that they changed it because it was a bit too real.
Obvious.
Like, and like I said, every single person who's in the audience thinks that's what's going to happen. I think it's like a really richly produced film as well, like especially considering it's the first film directed by Jordan Peele, like solo direction anyway. I know he did Keanu with Michael Key last year. But I think like a lot of the setup and payoff only becomes clear right at the end.
Yeah, I agree. You get the kind of the first introduction to the sunken place, and you're like, oh, that's creepy, and then you realise that that's where he's going to be trapped forever.
Yeah.
So like when they come back to that, you're like, oh, that's really bad.
Yeah, and like the for example, the scene where we get that white police officer and Rose calls him out for being racist, and you're like, yeah, Rose, that's bang on.
Yeah.
The reason she does that is because she doesn't want any paper trail. She doesn't want any evidence that he was there.
Yeah.
And like the deer being hit is to put the idea of, you know, like he goes and sees the deer lying on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And then we get a sort of hint of an equivalent thing with the way his mother died.
Right, yeah.
And like that's putting that in his head. Like the grandfather right at the start is referenced as having lost to Jesse Owens in a qualifier for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Right. Which is basically why he does the whole thing, is because he's angry that a black guy beat him.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why he's running in the garden, like in the middle of the night. It's because he's a runner.
He's training.
Like, yeah, exactly. And he's training his like new black body.
That's nuts. That scene is like so weird.
Yeah.
Like it's just unsettling because he's running at him like really fast, then just does like a right angle turn. Goes in the direction.
Yeah. It's bizarre. Yeah. The one thing that I picked up on, which I was pleased to see elsewhere on the internet as well, because it's always nice when you think, oh, I wonder if I've, you know, I wonder if anyone has also seen that and whether I can sort of actually justify that
corroboration.
Yeah. So he gets strapped to well, for starters, there's the setup that when he's nervous, he sort of scratches the armrest.
Yeah.
Then he's strapped to a chair where he does that constantly, and it's a brown chair which has white filling. As he's being explained how these white people are going to be put inside all these black bodies. And also to escape, he has to pick the cotton out of the chair.
Wow.
It's, I think that's like an obvious visual metaphor.
Yeah. And
also like the method of escape is like a sort of weird irony given the context of the film. But I think all those sorts of things make it so like, give it a sense of depth that is really adds to the film.
Yeah, you've blown my mind with that last part. Well done.
Thanks. Yeah,
it's almost as good as last week when I noticed that the Viet Cong and King Kong have the same same ending in their names.
Well, I mean, we're recording today before that podcast has been released, but I assume the honorary doctorate is in the post already.
Yeah, from multiple universities.
Yeah, they'll be competing. You'll be batting them off. Yeah. I think it's like an odd film for us to talk about a little bit, isn't it?
Because two white men.
Two middle-class white men talking about a film where middle-class white men are the devil.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to think we're pretty woke.
Yeah, man. we've been woke and we stay woke.
Yeah. But I think like it's very, I don't know about you, but the sort of cringeworthy, attempts at being liberal and yeah, I'm on board with all this like post-racial society and all that sort of thing. The attempts that the old white people have to be like that are familiar to me even as a white guy. Yeah. Because like my parents' generation say and do things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like you say, it's I've got friends who are black. Therefore, yeah. Like
I would have voted for Obama for a third term. Like
or like saying like you're good at sports.
Yeah, exactly. Like when they're walking, even things like when they're walking around the house, he picks up like a little statuette and goes, "Oh, it's such a privilege to be able to experience another person's culture." And you're just thinking like, oh, that's not a good thing to say in front of someone who like when the tension is already there of like the race tension, like the more obvious ones like the Asian guy at the party goes, "Oh, do you think nowadays is being African American an advantage or a disadvantage in modern life?" You're like, how could you ever think that it's it's exactly the sort of thing where like the white middle class liberal would go, "Well, actually, I think that they're actually better off in some ways, and let me tell you why."
Well, it works to that, like what we always discuss. When it comes back to when we talk about like dinner scenes in movies, they're really good at amping up tension because they rely on creating like social awkwardness, they're like a social tension. Yeah, and I think because as soon as he gets to the house, he's a fish out of water. Yeah. And you're just constantly on edge thinking like, who's going to put their foot in it next?
Yeah. And also he can't call it out because he's the girlfriend's, he's the
daughter's boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like there's that added layer of like, I have to maintain this politeness. I can't just go and bear it. Like if it was one of his mates, he'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. Like, but yeah, he just has to take it with a smile on his face. And again, like the dinner scene in this where the brother is saying I've got the quote here actually. He says, "With your genetic makeup, a bit of proper training and you could be a beast." And Daniel Kaluuya, who is a British actor, Posh Kenneth from Skins. He I think he's brilliant at that sort of like, he just like smiles and goes,
yeah. He's like, "Why won't you fight me?" He's like, "Generally, I won't fight drunk guys."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just that sort of awkward smile, like, yeah.
But yeah, that social tension is there throughout, and it, like the one you mentioned just then, the Asian guy saying like, "Is it advantage, disadvantage?" That's like awkward as fuck, and you're like cringing, and then he's like, "Oh, let me ask my friend
Logan."
Like it was Logan over, and he's like, "Logan, what do you think?" And then Logan's saying the weirdest shit like, "Oh, we've become such homebodies because you don't go out the house in months," and you're like, "That's mental," and you're going like, "This is insane."
But that's because he's an elderly white man in a black guy's body. It's so it's
it's cringy.
Yeah, I mean, I want to talk about this when we get into How to Survive, really. But because it plays into one of my ideas. But do you think that all that stuff about do you think African American, is it better or worse nowadays? I would have voted for Obama for a third term, all that sort of thing. Do you think that's all an act, or do you think that is still genuinely how they feel? Because I think it comes across like in their minds that and what they're doing is like an entirely separate thing. Like politically, they do see themselves as post-racial, and like they don't actually think about it in that way. And like the fact that they're carving the brains out of black people and putting white person brains in them instead is just like an entirely separate thing to them.
Right? Yeah. Like it's based on like the granddad's ideas.
Yeah, like they don't think about it as being racial almost. Like because it's more liberal. It's more liberal to not think about race, Joe, isn't it? Like,
yeah, because at one point they say why black guys, and he says like why not?
Well, he's like, oh, well, black guys are in the fashion. Yeah. In vogue. Yeah. So it's like it's almost to them And like to them, it's almost incidental that they're doing it to black people, but obviously to a black person and like culturally, it's not incidental whatsoever. It's like it's a marker of white middle class racism. Yeah,
literally enslaving a black person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like all that stuff about I know it's awkward, white guy with the black servants. Like, I do think that is, like, that's what that character is genuinely thinking. And I do think that character genuinely would have voted for Obama again.
Yeah, for a third time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that just matches what I know having...
He's also deliberately trying to make him feel more at home, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
To disguise the fact that he's actually going to carve out his brain.
But do you think... Yeah, but I guess so. Yeah. Well, I guess moving on from that to the... main event, Joe, How to Survive.
Yeah.
Maybe I should open with my survival idea that sort of ties into that.
Okay. A nice segue.
Yeah, because if that is, as I suspect, what they genuinely believe, maybe abandoning the sort of politeness that Chris has because he's the daughter's boyfriend and just pointing out the hypocrisy and the misunderstanding in much of what they're saying.
Yeah.
Might actually stop them in their tracks because they'll be like, oh shit, like I never thought that what I was doing was racist.
Right.
Like I'm horrified. Like maybe they don't realize the racism behind what they're doing. And like, to point that out to them, they'd be horrified. You can imagine Dean being like, oh my God, like I never would have wanted you to, wanted to make you feel like we're only doing it because you're black. I'm horrified by that.
So they would stop doing it?
Yeah.
And gone for like a Chinese man?
Well, I don't know. Like, I mean, maybe it would be a case of arguing sort of equal, equal rights for
equal opportunities.
Yeah, like, it seems to be very, very black centric at the moment.
Yeah.
What's wrong with just having it would be better perhaps to have a white donor body at some point.
Yeah, well, maybe that's changing seasons, changing fashions.
Yeah,
it must be quite a long lead time on gathering the people there, because they're living together. They must have been dating for a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
Although
it takes a couple of months each time. It's 5 months
shifts, don't they? Because the brother also gathers people.
Right. Yeah, I suppose so. Well, do we see that?
Yeah, the opening scene. Oh,
of course, yeah. Well, that's just so the opening scene. We didn't mention this in the recap, but basically, you see Logan before he's Logan being kidnapped, and he's just walking along the street in an affluent white neighborhood, and then gets like kidnapped. Yeah. Do you think that that's he's on the phone to Rose?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So she's always the honey trap, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And then you hear the run rabbit stuff, and it's obviously his car. Like,
you see his car later, don't you?
Yeah,
so,
it's undoubtedly him that is the kidnapper.
Yeah, Jeremy. So yeah, just equal opportunities.
Yeah,
maybe if you say, look, I understand what you're doing, but you've already got the 2 housekeepers. You've got 2 black guys there.
Plenty.
Oh, you got a black guy and a black girl there.
Yeah.
Logan, I met at the party. It's obvious to me now what that was about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's 3, and also the pictures that gave it away. Yeah,
exactly.
So maybe that wouldn't necessarily who would survive this.
Well, if you did it early enough, you might be able to convince them to let
you go.
Yeah,
right. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, in fact, if he was standing by his principles of. If indeed he has the principles of calling out racism wherever he sees it, as we all should, then maybe he could have been doing this before it even came to the whole hypnosis brain routine, and he just would have done it. That he would have done it naturally, and they naturally would have realised what the problem is, and not gone through with it. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah,
I think it's a flawless plan. Personally,
let him see behind the screen. Basically, behind the curtain, and then let him live anyway.
Yeah, basically say to him, look, Dean, check your privilege, mate. All right. And then here's a list of reasons why I think, although you mean well, a lot of what you're saying and doing is coming across as coming from a deep-rooted racism.
Institutionalized racism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like, you don't know you're doing this, but be aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
How about you?
Well, Chris, my first piece of advice is pretty simple. It's two-tiered though. Two-tiered. First tier is, straight advice. The second tier is like, oh yeah, actually, that would have also helped. So
Okay.
the advice is, don't smoke.
Right.
And obviously, smoking causes cancer.
Yes.
Nobody should smoke because it's bad for you.
Yes. Well, it's not just cancer, but a number of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is carcinogenic.
It doesn't help you.
No.
So there's point A. That's going to help you survive.
Long-term survival is what you're thinking.
Exactly.
It's also going to decrease your ability to run, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Jesse Owens, I bet he never smoked.
Never smoked a fag in his life, did he?
No.
But the deeper roots, the deeper roots in this survival ecosystem. That's not a remotely tortured metaphor.
No.
The fact that he first gets hypnotised when he sneaks outside for a cigarette.
Yes.
That wouldn't have happened
That's
if he
true.
didn't need to smoke.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that she only targets people who smoke?
No,
So that they come to the house with something that they can give up?
Maybe.
And that, it's something that they can be hypnotised out of. Because
some bad habit. Yeah.
What I find interesting as well, though, is that, it becomes apparent quite quickly during the hypnosis thing that it's not to do with the smoking at all, is it? Like, because she quickly hones in on like the night that his mother died and how he just like sat there and did nothing, which is like all priming him to sit and do nothing basically as he gets hypnotised. But she does cure him of smoking. Yeah. It's like, she's like, well, while I'm here, I will also take care of
around
it.
in your brain.
Yeah. Maybe it's because they want the optimum donor. And so she figures, well, every little helps.
Exactly. If you're smoking, you're ruining the goods before they can be passed on, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So don't smoke.
Don't smoke, I get that.
Or by that rationale, do smoke. Like suck an exhaust pipe and ruin the body so no one can use it. No one want it.
Yeah. I like the scene where Rose is just Google image searching for NCAA athletes. Yeah. And it's like her next, who am I going to find next? Yeah. So be less fit.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Be a less viable donor.
Smoke lots, drink lots, be fat.
Yeah. There's the scene at the start where Rose, you first time you see Rose, it's like she's in the she's looking at the counter in like a bakery to decide what like pastries to bring her boyfriend. In retrospect, that seems like she's really taking her time. And at the time, you read that as, she really cares about Chris. She's like, even these little details, she's trying to make it fun. She's trying to make it a nice journey. Let's have a nice coffee and a pastry before we go and all that. Yeah. In retrospect, it's like it just becomes more creepy because like she's looking at those pastries and going, yeah, I think Chris would really like that as a pastry. That'll probably be the last pastry that he eats before he has his brain scooped out. And then she's like smiling to herself, it's just so. Yeah, I'd love to watch. I'd almost like to watch this film straight away afterwards, again, and watch Alison Williams' performance, and just watch read everything now as like I'm preparing you to have your brain removed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that would be interesting. Maybe I'll go and see it again. Do you know what I still haven't seen?
Go on.
Logan.
Well, speaking of Logan,
it's a nice segue.
Yeah, it's perfect. He's a big clue, isn't he, to the stuff that's going on because the mobile phone goes off and it flashes in his eyes, and he starts going mental and shouting, "Get out!" Yeah, which could be to Chris. Could also be to the other brain that's in his head.
Oh, yeah. Another amazing bit of writing.
Yeah. Nasty, horrible thought as well. So what does Chris do for his profession, Joe? Remind me.
Photographer.
Yeah. Now, what do a lot of cameras have? as part of
That's an amazing point.
as part of like built in often, and also what the professional photographers have normally larger and like external flash guns.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this must have been the first time this has ever happened.
Yeah.
Like he could have just been like wandering around and decided to take a photo of Georgina or Walter, and the flash goes off. And they're like, get out!
Yeah. The thing, just to clarify, in case people are listening and they haven't seen it or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a scene where Chris takes a photo on his phone.
Yeah, like surreptitiously.
Yeah, of Logan, who's like
the white black guy. Yeah.
And that sends him into like a frenzy of like panic.
Yeah.
And
it's because
what you realise is the real person, Andre, inside is trying to fight his way out.
Yeah.
And he shouts, get out, either to say, get out of this place before they take your brain, or to say, get out of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the fact that Chris is a photographer is the reason he was picked, because the person who wants to become Chris is a blind art dealer who wants to become an excellent photographer.
Yeah.
Did you know, by the way, that he's played by the guy who voices Bill in King of the Hill?
Really?
Yeah.
He's also in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
He is. He's also in Boardwalk Empire.
Right. It's like, do you need a blind man? Yeah. Yeah. So I can only assume that this is the first time this has happened. And like maybe Hudson came to the family and went, look, I want a photographer. And they're like, yeah, we can sort that out for you. And then they're like, well, that could cause some issues. So what we'll do is we'll do everything we can to not invite anyone who we've replaced their brain, because that could cause a really big issue. Oh shit, we've invited Logan accidentally. Maybe they sent out the invites.
Right.
Maybe this is what happened, right? They sent out the invites while Logan was still Logan.
Right.
And then he had his brain swapped, and they're like, well, it's impolite to...
Because he's still Logan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's impolite to rescind the invitation now, isn't it? So he'll have to come along, and what we'll do is we'll unplug his phone all the time, and then he won't be able to take any photos. But they didn't do a good enough job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically the survival advice is don't let a man who will almost certainly have a lot of like access to flash guns come to your house where it's full of people who will go into a frenzy and reveal your ploy if they're exposed to a flash gun.
Yeah.
I think that's
a very good one.
that's a reasonable one. Yeah. I think. Yeah, I do love that scene as well. You know, it like flashes and then like the soundtrack drops out, doesn't it? And it goes like, and like the whole audience holds its breath, and then it just cuts back to Chris and he goes, "Oh shit," but not in like a "oh shit" he's going mad. It's like, "Oh shit, I've just done something embarrassing." Like the flash went off, like anyone would if you like try and surreptitiously take a photo of someone on the tube or something. Yeah,
do you do that a lot, do you?
Sometimes if I see a particularly bad haircut, I've sent them to you with great appreciation as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think I put it on my Bad Haircuts of London blog.
Exactly. badhaircuts.tumblr.com. Check it out. So yeah, good. Don't invite someone with a flash gun. The end.
Okay. Have you been hypnotised ever?
No.
Do you want to be?
Okay. Is this a wiki?
I'm not offering. I'm just asking if.
Right. I see. Right.
If you would want to be. Suppose you come into my house, right?
Yeah.
Suppose we're watching TV and my mum comes in and she goes, "Chris, can I hypnotise you?"
Yeah.
What would you say?
But probably I would say no. I'm okay, thank you.
Right. Now, if she went and started doing something which is obviously hypnotising you,
yeah,
would you like go, "That's fine, I'll stay here for days"?
Well, as in like, she went, "Oh, okay, that's fine. I won't hypnotise you.
Yeah.
Just allow me to dangle this pocket watch."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
And you're getting very sleepy, right?
Yeah.
And then you woke up and you're like, okay, I was obviously hypnotized. And then, like, my mum's gardener was like, oh, by the way, you've been hypnotized. You go, all right, that's weird because I don't remember being hypnotized necessarily, but now it will make sense.
Yeah.
Would you be like, I'll just be here from now on, that's fine?
Well, I don't know really, because it's like, it's that social thing of like, because you've got to remember as well, it's like, I mean, you're engaged.
Yep.
Engaged to be married.
Yeah,
Imagine the first time you met your fiance's parents and they, you're trying to make a good impression. I think that's the problem, is that he's constantly under this burden of needing to make a good impression.
Yeah.
And so
he's in mum mode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's in mum mode.
Yeah.
So if I was in mum mode, you might, or if you were in mum mode, you might inadvertently put yourself in a position where you're susceptible to hypnosis out of politeness.
Right. Okay. Just from being like so polite, you'll just be like, "That's fine, please hypnotise me."
Yeah, exactly that.
Any hypnosis for you, Joe? No, thank you.
Not for me. Actually, I'm full. Thank you.
You must have. Oh, okay, a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, go on. I'll have a slither.
I was up all night making it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Your mum's always up all night for me, mate.
That's unnecessary. That's horrible. Come on.
I meant straight into the mum
Well,
jokes.
you say that. Oh, I've got one last one, Joe, if you're interested. Again, it ties into hypnosis.
Go on.
There's the bit where Chris is making good his escape.
Yeah.
And goes into the drawing room or whatever it is, and Missy's there, and he's there, and in the middle there's a table with a cup and spoon on it.
Yeah.
And she like dives for it. Here's my proposal. If you run an operation which relies on the sound of someone doing that with a cup to make your like potentially dangerous patients go to sleep instantly, just like sample it and just have like speakers all around the house and just like set it up so you can just go like, and it would just start playing.
Right.
And so it would just like, it's an emergency protocol basically. So like, even if she didn't get to do it because he grabbed her or whatever, then you could have the for example, when Jeremy wakes up in the basement, he could realise what's happened, gone like that.
Right.
Why aren't they just playing it constantly?
Yeah.
There's no
I think
reason.
maybe there has to be a visual part to it as well, because it's always the video of the teacup that sends him into the trance.
But he blocks his ears. And that's what allows him to escape.
It has to be both. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Okay. But maybe. Yeah. Maybe. He's not looking at Missy when she does it to him when he's about to escape the first time.
That's true.
But I don't see that there's a downside to having like a system set up which is just like an emergency response.
I have a problem with it.
Go on.
At uni, I had a clapper.
Right.
Like a clapper switch.
Okay.
So I got it from like Macro or something.
Right.
And so in my halls, I used to have like turn the lamp on.
Yeah.
Or turn it off.
Just for the listeners at home, this is the most Joe Sherville thing that I've ever heard, I think. Yeah.
Problem is, a clap, like, it's not like scientifically tuned to like be that's a clap.
Right.
It's just like a certain frequency or a certain volume.
Yeah.
And it will just be like, that's fine. That's exactly what I need to turn on.
Yeah.
So you'd be watching a movie and the lights would be like flashing. Or like you'll be just having a conversation or you'll shout to someone like, "I'll be out in a minute," and it'll be like,
Yeah.
yeah. It was mental. I didn't use it for very long, I'll be honest.
All right. Well, then why can't you get, for example, a Home Assistant, Google Home or Amazon Alexa, something like that, and you have, I think, Samsung Bixby. Is that a thing, or is that my personal assistant possibly?
That's mental.
Yeah. They have one of them, and you have a thing where it says, you say, "Okay, Google, teacup," or whatever, and it will just play the teacup sound.
Right, so you say, "Hey Siri."
Yeah.
You say, "Hey Siri, what do you think about white liberal racism?"
It's nice of you to ask, the one true king, but it doesn't really matter what I think.
You've accidentally showed too much there, haven't you?
That's fine.
So Siri calls you what?
Hey Siri. I've done this before. It's really embarrassing. Hey Siri. What's my name?
You're Joe, but you asked me to call you the one true king.
Okay, that's the most Joe Sherville thing I've ever heard.
Thanks, Siri.
Have you got any final thoughts?
Well, I was thinking like simple things, like when he turns his phone back on and he calls up
Rod.
He calls up Rod. Just share location.
Yeah. The signal's not great though. They point out.
You only use 3G. It's fine.
Right. It's not actually 3G though, is it? It's GPS.
Is it?
Yeah.
We need both.
No, but GPS is better than, like, you're more likely to have GPS coverage than 3G.
Yeah, well, whatever you have, I'm sure, like, screenshot your map or whatever. Like,
what, your map that wouldn't load if you didn't have 3G, mate?
Well, whatever, mate. Just do anything.
I'm supporting you, because I
Yeah,
think
I
you
know.
can send a text with location tagging, and it will tag it with GPS,
Yeah.
which doesn't require data, I believe.
Doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just make sure you've not got iMessage on, though, if you're using an Apple phone. Although you're using a Windows phone.
Yeah.
And everyone uses Windows everything in this film.
Yeah, they do.
Sponsored
He's
by
got-
Surface Pro.
He's got his laptop with him.
Yeah.
And he's also got a laptop at home, which
Mhm.
Rod uses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two of the same.
Yeah, you can't have too many identical laptops.
No.
And we've had a few emails in.
Okay. It's good. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Reminder, as ever, that you can email in howtosurviveshow@gmail.com if you want to chat any movies that we've got coming up or any movies that we've covered in the past.
Yeah.
And we'll read out your thoughts.
Hey Siri, open email. The first email then, Chris, comes from Rachel.
Okay.
Hi, Rachel.
Hello, Rachel.
She just says, get out sooner. Walk, walk, walk.
Okay. I mean, he does try that, doesn't it? As soon as he... I mean, basically, he's worried about Rose as well, up until the point that she's revealed to be in on it.
Yeah, he
At
says,
which
like,
point-
you're the only person I've ever loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At which point he tries to escape as soon as he can,
Yeah.
but can't because he gets hypnotised.
Yes.
Yeah, so... But, I mean, I guess him and Rose could not even go back to the house. They could just go.
Yeah. Or just, like, if he was a bit more cutthroat about it, just go, right, see you later, Rose. Meet you at home. I'm just
Yeah.
going to walk into the woods now.
Like Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second email comes from Hannah.
Okay.
Hello, Hannah.
Hello, Hannah.
She's familiar.
Yeah.
She says, my suggestion is to grab the bag with the keys in as soon as you see that she has them.
Okay.
Basically, he could overpower her very easily. So punch her in the face, take the keys. Because the game's over at that point.
What? When they're all in the living room?
Yeah.
But she's...
Oh, someone's already got the drop on him, haven't they? When
Yeah,
she pulls
because
the
they've
keys
got
out.
the tea. Well, yeah, she pulls the keys out and goes, you didn't think I was going to give you these. He's like, I can't give you these.
Yeah.
Something like that. And that's when Missy hits him with the tea thing.
Yeah.
Actually. So,
Yeah, fair point.
mm.
So thanks, ladies, for your emails.
Yeah, sorry to... Yeah, but no, we're strong advocates of running in a straight line as far away and as fast as you can.
Yeah. What's the gardener's name?
Walter.
Walter will be very good at that, wouldn't
Yeah.
he? You just tear out full speed and then make a right angle at every tree.
Yeah, not quite good enough, though. Not good enough to match Jesse Owens.
No.
So that's about all we've got time for one of our favourites, I think, that we've covered. Next week, we're covering the new Ben Wheatley film, which I'm looking forward to. Ben Wheatley is, of course, director of Kill List and a firm favourite of ours. And that film is called Free Fire.
Yep.
So, look forward to that. That's in cinemas on the 31st of March. So I think by the time you hear this, it will already be out. So go and watch it, because it sounds like a riot.
Maybe we could do Beauty and the Beast. Seen that, have you?
Yeah, I have seen Beauty and the Beast.
Any good?
Yeah, that's right.
Just
What you'd expect.
Just all right.
and we'll see you next week for Free Fire. Any final thoughts, Joe?
Just hope that we can all look past our differences, because that way we'll get more podcast downloads. Because people won't be like, oh, that's not a podcast I'd listen to. They'd be like, oh, I'm the sort of person that would listen to that podcast. Do you know what I mean? We don't want divisions in our society. We want people who are like, oh, right, this is a podcast by two white guys about films. I want to hear what two white guys think about films, because we don't get enough of white guys talking about films. Because like podcasters, generally speaking, aren't white guys, are they? And that's what, I mean, all I want is a world where the How to Survive podcast is lauded as the progressive and forward-thinking liberal publication that it obviously is. All I want to say, Chris, is that I want to live in a world where divisions, whether it be race, gender, it's all ignored, because although we are different, I don't think we should separate ourselves based on any physical differences. And at the end of the day, we're all fans of movie podcasts, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we all want to know how to survive if we found ourselves living in movies. So why don't people just tell everyone about it? Why aren't we given like a drive time slot on BBC Radio 4? Why aren't we given a BBC 2 Friday night comedy panel show where we host it and we get like Stephen Fry on to talk about The Exorcist, about how he survived it, and then we could also do write a book about how to survive in movies, and we could be really rich. It would be like a Christmas stocking filler. And then each year we'd release a new one. It would be like, oh, more ways to survive in horror movies, and then we'd be like, oh, ways to survive in action movies. And I think that's really what's the only thing that's stopping the world achieving full equality.
Yeah.
Is that fair enough?
Yeah. What's the answer though then? Is it just...
I don't know. I don't think we're going to solve it here.
All right. See you later then.